Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Spencer, and today I want to go over a man by the name of Cassius Clay. And no, I'm not talking about Muhammad Ali. I'm talking about the original Cassius Clay, Cassius Marcellus Clay, who is one of the most badass and influential people for getting rid of slavery that you've never heard of. And it's a wild fucking story. Cassius Marcellus Clay, born in 1810, okay? So he ended up being one of the sons to the wealthiest slave owner in all of North America in the early 1800s. As he started getting older, he started to realize how much he wasn't fucking cool with slavery, mainly probably because he saw his dad do slavery and just hated what he saw. As he started getting older, he started figuring this out, and so he ended up, becoming more of like an abolitionist type person, and he ended up seeing a speech that was by an abolitionist by the name of William Lloyd Garrison. Now, basically, if you guys don't know, there were two categories that you could fit into at the time, which was either you were an emancipationist or an abolitionist. Now, an emancipationist were the ones that were like, hey, we're going to go to Congress and we're going to, try to pass laws and do things like that to kind of get rid of it, kind of gradually as time goes on, right? Whereas an abolitionist was like, no, we're going to get rid of it right here, right now, and we're going to do it in any way we possibly can. We're willing to die over it, and we're willing to let you die over it. So basically, Cassius Clay started going around and challenging people to a duel, and if you don't know what a duel is, even though most of you, I'm sure, probably do, it was basically like, hey, you pissed me off or I don't like you, and we're going to go outside and we're going to put guns on one another, and we're going to shoot at one another until one of us no longer exists. So he ends up doing this, and he does it really freaking well because he never actually loses any of these duels, and he ends up becoming known as one of the most deadly abolitionists of the entire North America, right? Well, he ends up getting a little bit older than that, and he ends up wanting to go to Yale University to become a lawyer. So of course he goes, he does that, he graduates, and when he comes back, shortly after, his father passes away. Oh no. And he gets his money, his land, all of his slaves. And of course he takes the slaves and he goes, hey, all of you guys are free. Here's some money, here's some land, everything's gonna be good, right? That pissed people off. Shocker. So he goes around, he keeps dueling and just bodying the absolute shit out of as many slave owners as he possibly can. And he also goes and does a bunch of abolitionist speeches, right? And he does it so long and so well that people were like, we gotta get rid of this fucking guy, okay? Like, he has to go, right? But they couldn't keep people from listening to him, right? Because of that whole pesky freedom of speech thing, right? So they were like, hey, how do we get rid of this fucking guy? We can't kill him because if you challenge him to a duel, he's gonna body you. He's been doing it for forever and there's nothing we can do about it. If you challenge him, you're gonna die. So how do we do it? We gotta do it illegally, right? So they go and they find some asshat named Sam Brown in New Orleans who claims to be an assassin, but was never good at it. And he goes, you know what? I'm just crazy enough to go out and try to kill this Cassius Clay guy, right? So during one of Cassius Clay's abolitionist speeches, he's up on the podium and he's got a briefcase and he pulls out a Bible and he's like, hey, if you believe in the laws of God, here's what I think, goes against slavery. If you don't believe in the laws of God, believe in the laws of man. Here's a copy of the Constitution. Here's my reason why we should get rid of slavery. And if that doesn't work, here's another reason why I think we should get rid of slavery. And he pulls out his dueling pistols and sets them down on the podium, which we can all agree is a badass move, right? Like, that's some hard shit. But Sam Brown goes, hey, here's my shot. And he runs up on stage and goes to shoot Cassius Clay point blank in the chest. But another really cool thing about Cassius Clay, as if he wasn't cool enough already, was that he kept a giant Bowie knife or however the hell you want to say it. I really don't fucking care, but I know there's probably going to be somebody in the comments who goes, hey, it's not pronounced that way. I don't care. But it was also in a metal sheath, so it's like double layer protection. Dude shoots him in the sheath in the knife, and it basically obviously stops the bullet, right? To which Cassius Clay goes, oh, fucking bet. And he pulls his Bowie knife out and he charges Sam Brown into the crowd. Well, he had like 5 friends or whatever that were in the crowd, Sam Brown did, who were like, no, we're going to stop you. And Cassius Clay just runs right through him. He's like, screw that, right? I don't know if he hurt him or, stabbed him or whatever. He gets through them. That's the bottom line. He then gets to Sam Brown and just stabs him right in the chest, right? Takes him to the ground. But that wasn't good enough because it's Cassius Clay. So then he cuts off either part of or all of his nose and ear and gouges out one of his eyes. I don't know what side, right? And then his friends finally get Cassius Clay and Sam Brown separated. They throw Sam like over a wall or a barrier or whatever the hell it was to try to get him separated from one another. Well then, Sam Brown goes, I'm going to take you to court because this isn't fair. even though he tried to assassinate Cassius Clay. Anyway, so he gets there and he's like, hey, I want to take this guy and I want to put him in jail or sue him or whatever. And the judge is like, why? And he was like, well, because he stabbed me in the chest, and after that, we should have been even, right? I mean, we didn't need to do all this to my face. And Cassius Clay rolls in with Henry Clay. Notice how the last names are the same? That's because it was his fucking cousin. And so, well, cousin. Never mind. Anyway, it was his cousin. He was also one of the most successful lawyers in Kentucky at the time. And so, Henry Clay walks in there and goes, hey, this is typical shit. I don't know what you guys expect us to do here. He tried to assassinate him. He took care of it. What are you mad about? I don't understand this. And of course, the judge kind of goes, honestly, fair, innocent. And they walk out of there a free man, right? So Henry Clay, after having won this, goes, you know what? I want to run for public office. Hey, Cassius, you want to come and run with me? But you can only run in the northern states with me because, you're too to be down in the south, and you're going to body so many slave owners while you're down there. They're probably going to think I'm trying to, rig the election or some shit. So just go in the northern states, right? Obviously, he doesn't end up winning the election. Henry Clay doesn't become president, right? And then after he loses the election, Cassius is like, you know what? I'm going to go start up a newspaper. Now, keeping in mind, this is in Kentucky, right? So him starting up a newspaper that's focusing on abolitionists and getting rid of slavery in Kentucky, as if he hadn't pissed off enough people already, was just an absolutely insane thing to do. But it's Cassius Clay, so he don't give a shit. But he starts up this newspaper called The True American. You can look that up. And he starts up this place, and he gets this building for it, and he fortifies the shit out of this building, okay? I'm talking about, he puts up, iron sheeting everywhere. He's got guns and cannons and everything on the inside, the outside, whatever. Also, rigs it to explode like he's a fucking CB, right? And so the dude goes in there, he does all this crazy shit. He knows mobs are going to come for him, and he's got these employees, and the employees are like, look, dude, we want to work with you, we want to help, but there's some people that want you gone. This is some wild shit. And so he's like, you know what? I don't expect you guys to stay and fight for me. I'll handle it. And so he makes a little escape hatch, while at the same time also putting iron sheeting up at the front door that basically turns it into a hallway to where only one person can get through at a time, basically turning it into a Call of Duty Zombies fucking match where he's like, hey, I'm just going to stand here and just pick you off one by one as you come through the door, right? And all of these people trying to be brave decide that they're going to wait until he comes down with typhoid fever. And then they show up in the middle of the night and burn the place down. So he's like, all right, cool. So he goes up north to Cincinnati, Ohio. He starts up another one, right? But it gets really boring really quick because it's an anti-slavery stronghold. He doesn't have anybody to fight. So he's sitting there going, well, I don't know what to do. There ain't nobody to take out. I might as well just, I'll go join a war. So he goes and he signs up for the Mexican-American War. The sad part about that is that this little side quest that he's on, well, he ends up getting captured pretty quickly. Him and his men end up sitting in this, in the POW camp pretty much the entire duration of the war. But the cool thing about that is that it was reported that while he was there, either his guys attacked the Mexican army soldiers or tried to escape or I don't know, something like that. And they were like, okay, we're just going to execute you guys. And he goes, well, I'm an officer. Why don't you just take out me and the other officers and leave the lower enlisted guys alone? It's our fault. Take us out. And the Mexican army was reported to be so impressed by that they were like, you know what? We're just going to leave you all alive. So he ends up coming back, and now he's got this title of being a veteran and a war hero and the guy that saved his men and all this other kind of stuff. So now he's got that going for him, and that just helps everything about his cause when it comes to the fact that he's now able to say this. Obviously, things are pretty crazy. He kind of just goes back to what he was doing, where he was going around doing abolitionist speeches and running his paper and doing things like that, right? But in 1853, he meets a guy by the name of John Fee, and they start up the Berea College, which was the first multiracial, co-education college ever in the South, right? And that obviously does gangbusters, gets him a lot of popularity. A lot of people love him for it. A lot of people hate him for it too, though. There's also this other thing where there were 6 brothers that were the Turner brothers that also tried to kill him, right? And they bring a bunch of knives and clubs, and they end up beating the living shit out of Cassius Clay, and stab him a whole bunch. But then, of course, in basic Cassius Clay style, he takes out his Bowie knife and just starts slicing these dudes up like he's paid to. And, he ends up excessively stabbing one of the brothers, even though we don't know exactly how many times. He ends up winning and living and doing this whole crazy thing. It was fucking wild. 1861, the Civil War breaks out, but by this time, he's in Russia as like an ambassador for America, right, for the whole anti-slavery movement. Well, he ends up getting Russia on the side of the Union and is like, hey, we're, fuck the Confederacy, yada, yada, yada. But the Civil War breaks out, to which he then convinces France and the UK, you're not even going to acknowledge the existence of these fuckers. And if you do, I'm going to use Russia to go to war with you, and basically convinces them not to do it, right? There was a whole bunch of crazy shit that was around it. There was that. There was the fact that, Abraham Lincoln wanted him to be a major general in his Union Army, and he basically, bullied Abraham Lincoln and was like, look, I'll tell you what, I'll come work for you. I'll come be your major general, because why not? But you better hurry up and sign that Emancipation Proclamation, because I ain't doing shit until you do. It was just a whole bunch of crazy shit, right? This video is going a little bit too long. Long story short, people were trying to take him out for forever. I mean, it was wild. I mean, in his 80s, he became, legit clinically insane or whatever. And, of course, that came with its own issues. But, I mean, he didn't die from it. But then, for the next 10 years, he just, fucks with the local sheriff. Local sheriff tries to go after him. He launches a cannon at him. He's like, unless you send me back with basically an army, I'm not going to go after the dude again. And, in 1900, two other dudes try to assassinate him at the age of 89 or whatever it was. He kills them too. This dude is just an absolute fucking monster. There is no other way around that. So, in conclusion, I just wanted to make sure that I get everything that I possibly can into a shorter video. But the dude is an absolute monster. He did everything that he possibly could to try to make sure that everybody knew that he was against slavery. He went around bodying slave owners like he was paid to do it, because he kind of was. And he didn't die until he was 92 years old or something like that. I mean, the dude lived a crazy life, right? So if you guys ever actually, care about sharing his story or doing anything that, could, kind of get the name out, that even though, yes, Muhammad Ali was, also named Cassius Clay, he was named after Cassius Marcellus Clay, one of the most badass dudes that ever existed, and one of the only politicians to this day that I can say that I actually like. So, I hope I'll see you guys in the next one. If you like this video, feel free to like and subscribe. I'm planning on keeping and putting out videos like this, because even though I did get this idea from somebody else, which, that may not always be seen as super great, I do want to make some videos that I have done my own research on, and, even though I did a little bit on this one, not super in detail. But I want to keep putting out content like this. If you guys like it, like I said, feel free to like and subscribe. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one. I really appreciate you being here. Much love to you. I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.